These past few weeks have been challenging, but that resilience, that camaraderie we've seen on display has been remarkable. And in the spirit of the Lunar New Year, I've never been more optimistic about Canada's future. We're not out of the woods yet. We need to continue to pull together and be there for each other. But as I announced yesterday, we reached an agreement with the United States to pause the proposed tariffs against Canada, along with our countermeasures, and working together to tackle the scourge of fentanyl.
Upon further review, I've come to the conclusion that Canada has never been weaker. And this has nothing to do with you or with I. This has to do with our government. Justin Trudeau made a speech, and we're going to take a look at it later on in this video, where he's basically saying that, hey, we actually won something. Canada has come to a conclusion, an agreement with America, and there's a bunch of liberals that are listening, and they're all clapping like seals. Yay, we made a deal. It is pretty pathetic that Canada, the only way we get something done, our government gets something done, is when a very stern president comes in and says, get it done or you are going bankrupt. That's extremely embarrassing. So we're going to be taking a look at that along with some other things, some news that Trump just put forward yesterday, the day prior, and some clips of Melanie Joly, aka rumored to be Justin Trudeau's mistress once upon a time, and then Mark Carney as well. So we got a lot to unpack in this video. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. And I never thought that I would ever in my life see this many comments online about someone's haircut. Guys, I cut my hair. I didn't realize it was like that big of a deal. And still, when I post new videos, I'm still getting comments saying, good job on the haircut. Was it really that bad? Did I look that bad? I didn't realize I was in such rough condition that cutting the hair short was so miraculously fixing for myself and my brand and just my face. But thank you. I still appreciate all of the comments that are rolling in. And yeah, it's guys, let's all calm down. It's just a haircut. I was getting ready for the taxes, the 25%. That's why. I was a 25% tariff haircut. I butchered that joke. Let's get into this video, shall we? Here we go. Starting off with the polls. You got Pierre and the Conservatives. They've actually come down quite a bit. From 232, 234 projected seats down to 220. That's not necessarily their fault. It could just be the fact that Justin Trudeau was out. The entire F Trudeau movement is kind of fizzling down right now. And it's really about F the Liberals, but we don't know who to scream at yet, right? So the Liberals have skyrocketed. They've almost doubled their projected seats, which is crazy. Just goes to show how bad things were with Trudeau. They've gone from 34, 35 seats all the way back up to 63 projected. But you still have 99% likely across the board for the Conservatives of winning the most seats and odds of a majority government. So even though there's a bit of turbulence there with the polls, it's still looking very favorable for Pierre as of right now. And then what's also looking very favorable is for Americans. Not on the tariffs department, though, but on this department. Trump signs executive order barring transgender athletes from competing with the opposite sex, which is pretty wild. We don't really have this type of putting your foot down on policies in Canada. I know a lot of people want that. I think Pierre has come out, though, and said he's going to ban men or women or men from competing in women's sports, biological men from competing in women's sports. I think that it's just a presentation of things. When Trump says something like this, maybe it's because of the United States, maybe it's because the way Trump does it, it seems so much more impactful than when anyone else says anything remotely close. But Canada does have a bit more of a progressive approach to things, which is why you've seen the whole like two gender debate when Pierre was on the media the other day saying, well, I'm not aware of more than two genders. We just want him to like come out and say there's two genders. Shut up. You're mentally ill for thinking otherwise. But back to the topic at hand here. He leaned into the rhetoric before the election, pledging to get rid of the transgender insanity, though his campaign offered little in the way of details. Wednesday's order, which coincides with the National Girls and Women's in Sports Day, oh, that's pretty cool, will involve how his administration will interpret Title IX, the law best known for its role in pursuing gender equity in athletics and preventing sexual harassment on campuses. This executive order restores fairness, upholds Title IX's original intent, and defends the rights of female athletes who will have worked their whole lives to compete at the highest level. That is pretty spectacular. A lot of people are under the impression. I think there's maybe just a bit of fear from the Conservative Party here in Canada, where they don't want to take such a hard approach because they think that maybe not many people would agree with it as they do in America. And I'm here to say that couldn't be further from the truth. There are so many people that are vocal about it and so many people that are closeted about it. And we just need a strong leader to come out and be Trump of the North within a certain extent. Just don't go around threatening tariffs on people. Now, switching things over to Danielle Smith. You have President and CEO of Surge Energy was on CBC supporting Alberta's productive meetings with key Trump administrations while promoting Alberta as a vital trade partner. And Danielle Smith personally says worth a listen. So let's take a look.
President, when he explained why he was doing the tariff at 10% for Canadian energy, which includes oil, gas, hydroelectricity, et cetera, said that it is because Americans need this stuff. Did you find that at all reassuring? Certainly the Premier of Alberta believes that she made a bit of inroads there with the President with that argument.
Yeah, I think Danielle is the only one that's acting like a stateswoman, and she went down and asked them what they need. And I think the hilarity of this is that it's about border control or fentanyl. They need a better deal under free trade. And Brian Mulroney said it years ago. Under free trade, marrying up with the biggest, strongest economy in the world, 1 + 1, Canada and the U.S. equals about 6 for Canada, and 1 + 1 equals about 3.5 for the U.S. So it's good, but I think the big picture is a negotiation, statesmanship. They're our number one partner, and marrying up with them has caused our standard of living to go through the roof.
Right.
Under the last 9 years, our standard of living has dropped about 45%, as you can see in the dollar.
Holy smokes, man. Couldn't be more on point with that. I think that we really, really got a lot of work to do. And unfortunately, the maniac that's in charge of our country, but who isn't going to be in charge in a couple of weeks, maybe, or months, maybe not. He resigned, but not resigned. Oh no, les papiers, as he said when he walked up to the podium, is Justin Trudeau. And here's what he just recently said at a fundraiser event, at a press gallery. I don't really know where this was, but it's just so bizarre that he's viewing this as America and Canada finally came to an agreement. No. That's not at all what happened. America told you that you need to do something about these issues. And middle of December, Justin Trudeau came out and said, "Okay, we're gonna put $1.3 billion on this, that, and that." And then 2 months fast forwarded to right now, right down to the 11th and 12th hour, Trump said, "Well, you haven't really done anything, even though you've made a press release. So do it like this week, like take action right now." That's why you're getting a 30-day pause on the tariff. So let's take a look at Trudeau somehow try to spin this.
Resilience has long been a value you've embraced, and it's a value I think Canadians of all backgrounds have wholeheartedly embraced as well. These past few weeks have been challenging, but that resilience, that camaraderie we've seen on display has been remarkable. And in the spirit of the Lunar New Year, I've never been more optimistic about Canada's future. We're not out of the woods yet. We need to continue to pull together and be there for each other. But as I announced yesterday, we reached an agreement with the United States to pause the proposed tariffs against Canada, along with our countermeasures, and working together to tackle the scourge of fentanyl. And, of course, we will keep working until those tariffs are off the table altogether.
I love how everyone's applauding him like, oh my goodness, thank you. You saved us from the tariffs. The tariffs. These tariffs would never have been put on Canada if it wasn't for Justin Trudeau and weak ass liberals. Like, that's just plain and simple. There was no talk to it. Joe Biden wasn't going to do this. Kamala Harris wasn't going to do this. Only a strong leader came in and said, you guys are messed up. Stop messing with our country, or else you're going to get the sauce. And we're about to get the sauce. We almost got the sauce. Viewing this as a win is just so embarrassing as the Prime Minister of Canada. Maybe he's trying to brand it as, hey guys, look, I fought Trump and we negotiated. Can I be the killer too? The way Chrystia Freeland has a nickname. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing.
But the one thing that has shone through over the past few days is Canadians being there for their neighbors, for their friends, looking to buy Canadian goods, looking to find Canadian suppliers, looking to be there to support communities right across the country through these challenging times. That is the very best of Canada. We pull together when we're faced with challenges, and that's what we've seen from coast to coast to coast. We are more aligned than ever. We are more united than ever. We've collectively shown that when Canada's interests are in danger, our political identity no longer matters. There is only one team, and that is Team Canada. So as we move forward into the year of the snake, let us commit to fully embracing the values that the Lunar New Year represents. Let us resolve to remain resilient and united. Let us commit to working towards a better, brighter future. And let us recognize the role that you, Chinese, Korean, and Vietnamese Canadians all play in making Canada the very best country on earth.
Yeah, it's super weird and embarrassing that Justin Trudeau's trying to view this in any way, shape, or form as a win, and that he's responsible for the tariffs being paused, and that he's responsible for negotiating with Trump. I mean, bro, he's only putting these tariffs on because of you, and it only came down to the 12th hour because you only said words in the middle of December and you never actually took any action. So no wonder the polls were showing 35 projected seats under Justin Trudeau. I think everybody with a brain can see through the absolute garbage rhetoric that he always tries to spin. And then speaking of garbage, of course, perfect segue into taking a look at Mélanie Joly and what she had to offer at a recent press conference talking about the border issue.
Yes, yeah, I'll take after me.
Going forward, when you talk about the U.S. president's preoccupation has been the border security and fentanyl, managed to get this delay of 30 days. What now is your advice to the Prime Minister to convince President Trump to either extend that pause beyond 30 days or to ultimately eliminate it altogether? Where do you see, what's your advice to the Prime Minister to convince the President?
Well, it is to make sure that the border plan is implemented. We're a government. We need to make sure that these are not only words, but they're, transferred into actions. And that's what we're doing. Black Hawk helicopters are already patrolling the border. We already have drones that have been bought that are patrolling the border. We now have changed the opening hours of our border posts across the country, and we need to continue to do that.
But I mean, does this mean that you just sit back then and wait for these 30 days? And
Absolutely not.
Try to show the president that the measures you've announced are working, or do you think you have to go further?
Do I look like somebody that is just sitting back and looking at things happening? No, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. 100%. Unequivocally. Yes. You and your entire band of liberal misfits. Yes. 100%. You guys sit back, you collect your paycheck, you get your benefits, you do some insider trading, whatever the hell you're doing. Yes. Yes. That's so like, what do you think, Canadians? We're going to say no? Come on.
Not. We're in implementation mode. We're in action mode. So that's why the Minister of Public Safety is in contact with Tom Homan, the border czar of Trump, and I met with him along with the Minister of Immigration last Friday in Washington. That's why we've been in contact with him since then as well, and that's why also the RCMP Commissioner, the head of the CBSA, they're all working on making sure that is happening.
But they could have done this. They should have done this in the middle of December, the actually beginning of December, when Trudeau went to Mar-a-Lago and they were talking about this. Trudeau was talking to Trump about this, and this is exactly what Trump said. Here's what you got to do. Here's how you got to fix it. And that's why December 17th, the Canadian government came out with a press release saying we're committing $100 $1.3 billion on all of these things, which is the exact deal that's been negotiated, but they sat on it. They sat on it for almost 2 months. And herein lies the problem. Our Liberal government is all about optics. Maybe this was the Liberal government's plan. Maybe he knew that he was going to prorogue when he went down to Mar-a-Lago. Maybe that was the plan all along. Who knows? Who knows the motives, right? But it's not even worth speculating at this point. The point is that this could have been done and should have been done months ago when Donald Trump was in, should have been done. And that's only with the warning. This actually should have been done years ago. Like, we shouldn't have been waiting for the president to be elected and then for him to say, hey, fix your border or else. We should have just been doing that anyways. This is why Canada isn't a respected nation anymore, is we're just getting steamrolled by our own policies, by our own government, and then other countries are forcing us to fix our stuff. It's absolutely embarrassing. But don't worry, because Trudeau V1 didn't work out properly, but apparently Trudeau V2 will. Let's take a look here at Mark Carney and what he has to say. This is just, absolutely absurd. Here we go.
Now, the one thing I've learned over the many years of managing crises is that plan beats no plan. Plans create focus, discipline, and the energy that major changes a crisis demands. And make no mistake, we are in a crisis. We can do little to change the external forces that are causing it, but we can act as Canadians. There's a fever gripping America. And while it rages, Canadians will remain resolute and true to our values. While America engages in a war on woke, Canadians will continue to value inclusiveness.
Oh my goodness. While America engages on a war on woke, Canada is about to go broke. Come on. Why are we doubling down on progressiveness? Nobody asked for this. This is insane. We've learned that progressiveness does not, in fact, work.
While America shuns the vulnerable, we will continue to show solidarity with one another. While America attempts to turn back the clock, Canadians will build sustainability for future generations. Before America's fever passes, we must seize this moment for Canada. This is the time to change. This is our time to build. This is the time for Canada.
Super, super bizarre. Anybody who's guilty of trying to, or who played a role in convincing Mark Carney that now's the time to run in politics, you set the boy up to fail. You set the boy up to fail. Like, he's literally regurgitating Justin Trudeau's points. We're doubling down on progressiveness because that's gone so well. You think that all the hatred in Canada is just geared to Trudeau as a singular individual, removed from all of the policies and all the wokeness he's put into Canada? No, well, yeah, and also no, like 10% yeah, but 90% no. Trudeau is a genuinely piece of garbage human being. Politics aside, he's a freaking weirdo, like a total weirdo, like a grown-ass man doing friendship bracelets with random teens at Taylor Swift. Like, that's freaking bizarre. Dude smiled when he was announcing his brother's death. Like, oh, I shouldn't have gone out that day. Like, that's freaking weird, man. Super weird. But then you add in his policies. Trudeau is the most woke and progressive person we all know. The dude basically walks and talks like he's a female. Like, I might as well identify as a female at that point. It's extremely bizarre. And Mark Carney thinks that after we've seen the polls hit 35 projected seats for the Liberals, that now's the time that Canadians are saying, you know what, we need to double down on progressiveness. That's fine, Mark Carney. Go down that route. Tank the Liberal Party to a point where it's not repairable. I don't care. I don't care at all. I mean, the whole shtick that the Liberals have. It's nonsense. Freeland's also about progressiveness. I think that this whole thing is geared for Mark Carney to win the leadership race and be the interim prime minister, but there's no way in hell he's ever going to win with this type of platform, with this type of rhetoric. We need to double down on progressiveness. Give me a break, dude. People are even traditional Liberals are fed up with this. Like, I don't know what people's breaking point was, but when you have, kids and stuff like that identify as cats, and there's litter boxes in schools and stuff like that, and you got adults that are identifying as animals and walking around with leashes and stuff like that around town. Like, no, man, that's enough. And this guy supports that. So, of course, the Liberals aren't going to win. The entire Liberal Party needs a complete revamp. All new people, entire new platform, because there's nothing really wrong with just the Liberal Party. It's who's in the Liberal Party and what they stand for that's wrong. The Liberal Party is just a group. Who makes the group is what makes all the difference. And so I'm not saying I want a bunch of good people working for the Liberal Party, but we definitely need to get rid of all this extreme radical left-wing crazy. It's not even liberalism. It's a mental illness at this point, and actually have parties that are real contenders for each other. So the entire pendulum has to swing to the right politically. That's my opinion, folks. I would absolutely love to know yours. That is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another one. Bye for now.